Jake, I'm going to email you later because
Joining Steve now via Cisco WebEx is UPS Chairman and CEO Carol Tomé for a conversation on delivering through tough economic times.
Greetings. Folks, this is, I was going to go back and, change shirts, pants, shoes. And, Carol, I've been up here. Carol, it's great seeing you. I know you're coming to Washington this week. And thank you for joining us virtually to have a discussion. You are running one of the biggest transportation logistics companies in the world. We're talking about the world economy, America's economy, and I'm trying to sort of tell folks, there's a lot of things that go on in terms of thinking about economic performance beyond finance. I mean, finance may finance stuff, but as you're a CEO dealing with the economic turbulence, headwinds, wobbliness, uncertainty, what's top of mind for you right now as you look at the future for UPS?
Well, first, thank you so much for inviting me to enjoy your summit, and I'm delighted to spend a few minutes with you. As we entered into 2023, I said this will be a year of resiliency and controlling what we can control, and that certainly has proved to be true. What we're seeing in our business, and as you know, we deliver packages in 220 countries and territories around the world. We're seeing a shift in demand in consumer spending away from goods to services. And in many ways, that's a wonderful thing because it tells us that the pandemic is behind us and people are going out and traveling and taking vacations and going out to restaurants and having some fun, which is fantastic. But it has slowed down the growth of e-commerce sales, which certainly has an impact on our business, given that in the United States, about 60% of our deliveries go to a home. But we're managing through that, and I couldn't be more proud of our team. Around the world, what we've seen is a significant shift in trade lanes beginning to occur. Many of our shippers who manufacture in China and ship to the rest of the world are diversifying out of China into other parts of the world like Malaysia, Taiwan, Vietnam. Actually, some are coming closer to the United States, putting manufacturing into Mexico. Our job is to follow our customers as they move, as these trade lanes shift, and try to stay ahead of the game. Again, controlling what we can control. The world economy is, well, it's a bit like walking on jello right now. And certainly there are bright spots and then some actually quite concerning spots. One of those areas of concern would be China, where I think you all know, rather than a 1-week Lunar New Year in 2023, they had a 2-week Lunar New Year in 2023. That certainly had an impact on manufacturing and demand. But again, like all good companies should do, be resilient, don't take your eye off the future, and control what you can control.
Well, so that's a great, template for thinking through the problems. One of the things, I did some research about UPS, and you've got some big labor negotiations coming up that I think are going to be a, big zinger, big distraction for your time or occupier of your time. UPS actually welcomed unionization, which I was surprised to see, in contrast to some other big brands that apparently have been struggling against unionization, but you welcomed it. So as you look at the future of your workforce, you look at what's happening with technology, you look at all the different ways to deploy systems and automation that's coming in, what are some of the North Star guiding lights you're going to have as you deal with the human side of being a big business?
Well, the human side is why I came to UPS, because I really love to develop people, and we have 540,000 UPSers around the globe. So I've got lots of opportunities to develop people. Now, most of our employees are employed by some sort of a collective bargaining agreement. We do employ more Teamsters than any company on the planet, with 330,000 Teamsters here in the United States. We also have pilots who are employed under collective bargaining, as well as airline mechanics. And outside of the United States, of course, we work with a number of works councils and Teamsters in various parts of the world. Our approach, though, is simply this. The back of your jersey or the back of your brown uniform says UPS. You're a UPSer first and a member of a union second. And every time we have a contract, it's about winning, a win for our employees, a win for the Teamsters or whomever is representing our employees, and a win for our company. And that's certainly how we're approaching this upcoming negotiating with the Teamsters, all about win, win, win. And I'm highly confident that we'll be able to deliver a contract by the end of the summer when our contract expires. But to your specific question about technology, this is an exciting time for all of us. Technology is eating the world, and it certainly is something that we are leaning into in a big way. Consider this. If you've had, hopefully, a brown package car arrive at your home or your business, you've got to think about how that package was loaded into the package car. Historically, it's been loaded into a package car by an individual, someone we call a preloader. They're loading that package in, and they're manually scanning the package. Historically, we had seen 1 in every 400 packages misloaded onto a package car, which means when it went out for delivery, it couldn't get delivered and had to come back to the center and get resorted and go back out for delivery. Now, that's not a good experience. And I will say we deliver our packages 97% on time, but when it isn't delivered on time, well, that's a disappointment for our customers. So we wanted to improve that misload frequency and thought about how could we do that, and realized that we could do it by investing in technology. So we are investing in RFID technology, where we are putting smart labels on all of our packages. We started doing this last year, and we went into about 100 of our buildings, and we will complete this initiative this year in the United States, going into about 1,100 buildings. Every package in the United States will have this tag, and the beauty of it is that the car will recognize whether or not the package should be in the car. And where we've had this technology, we've seen the misloads improve from 1 in 400 to 1 in 1,000. That's 6 Sigma levels of perfection. So that's what we want. It drives productivity within our operations for sure, but it's a better customer experience. From there, inside of our buildings, we're looking at robotics in ways that we never have before. Just signed a new agreement with a technology company for robotic label application. Very exciting initiative that's just getting started. And it doesn't stop inside of the buildings. We're also working on technology to improve the customer experience. For a long, long time, we thought about the customer as the shipper. Now we think about the customer as the shipper and the recipient. And our job is to make that experience seamless and frictionless. And we've made a number of improvements in this area and got more to do. In fact, we have 16 customer journeys that we've launched to improve the customer experience and have declared that we'll measure our success through a Net Promoter Score, which we're hoping to reach 50% at some point. We're in the 30s today.
Right.
So I could go on and on about technology because I'm
Well, I want to ask you a question about technology with other countries. You know, I've got coming in here in a little while the Minister of Finance of Rwanda. And I was surprised to hear you're a player in Rwanda, right? You know, but not through big brown trucks. Tell us what you're doing in Rwanda.
Yeah, it's very, very exciting for us. You know, we were honored and privileged to be the first integrated carrier to deliver COVID-19 vaccines when those vaccines became available. And we did that through the use of our smart global logistics network. But there are parts of the world where it's very difficult to fly a plane or drive a brown truck to get vaccines into that.
So how do you do it?
So the way we did it, with drones. And we were proud to be able, and still do, deliver vaccines through the use of drones in countries like Rwanda.
And they call that Zipline?
It's through a partnership with Zipline.
Zipline. Right. I see. Do you have partnerships like that in other countries of the world?
In other developing countries, we do.
I see. Great. Well, you know, I think the other thing I wanted to get to is supply chain. And, you know, I got to say supply chain, if I had mentioned it a couple of years ago, I would lose my audience, eyes would glaze over, they would be asleep, it'd be the most dull, you know, subject. There are people who are obsessed with it. But now supply chain draws an audience, it's like a big deal, it's now part of the lexicon. What are you seeing as you deal, I mean, are you part of the answer to fixing the supply chain? Or you know, do you still think things so backed up, labor shortages, supply shortages, that the supply chain's not moved back into a healthy place again?
Well, we're certainly not all the way back to healthy as a world when it comes to supply chain. The challenge, of course, is that for many, many years, most of us operated in a just-in-time environment where we wanted to optimize working capital and only have inventory just in time. What we've realized during the pandemic is that we need it just in case. So what we see happening is companies purchasing inventory to have it just in case and figuring out ways to get the inventory closer to their end user. And we certainly are participating in that change, helping our shippers get their inventory closer to their customer. We have warehousing facilities, actually, for our small and medium-sized business customers, where we're helping them getting their inventory closer to their customers. We are working on end-to-end visibility for all shippers, so they can see their goods from the raw material point of distribution all the way to the end user. Because candidly, that's been part of the challenge. It's like, where is it? Where is it? It's particularly if I'm purchasing outside of your home territory. So we're excited about the visibility that we are providing through new technology.
Let me just ask you finally, Carol, I'm really interested, I know so many of the shippers around the world, international shippers and DHL and FedEx and others, Postal Service. Is it a level playing field out there? The policymakers treat you and UPS the same, FedEx the same, DHL the same, or do you all operate with different gravitational fields?
So I really don't want to make this a policy discussion, but I will say it's not a level playing field. It's just not. And that is, I don't think, right. We want a level playing field and let us compete on the merits, not based on whether or not you're covered by, the National Labor Act or the Railway Labor Act. Give us a level playing field and let us compete equally. So, but I'll leave that for another day.
Well, I know you're headed to Washington, I think tomorrow, but I really, really appreciate you joining us virtually today, Carol. Carol Tomé, Chair and CEO of UPS, thank you so much. I've always enjoyed our conversations. Look forward to more. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thanks so much. Take care.